Welcome to Inspiration and Transformation from the Banks of the Ganga with Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati, an American sannyasi living at the Parmarth Niketan ashram in Rishikesh, India. Sadhvi is president of the Divine Shakti Foundation, a charitable organization bringing education, vocational training, upliftment, and empowerment programs to women and children. Sadhvi is also Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance and Director of the world-famous International Yoga Festival. Join the musings of an American sannyasi as Sadhvi shares the wisdom and teachings of her Guru, His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswatiji.
Welcome everyone to Inspiration and Transformation from the holy banks of the sacred Ganga River in the land of Rishikesh, India. You can't convince your mind of anything. And the reason you can't convince your mind is when you decide, let's just say, okay, today I'm going to convince my mind that my Dharma is to walk this path instead of the path my mind has been walking. Okay? Now, when you say that, who's listening to you say that? Who hears you say that? You've said it quietly. I'm not anybody around you. You've said it to yourself. Who's inside listening? The mind. So you can't catch it unaware. It would be like if you and your wife, if you're married, were saying, okay, today is the day we're going to convince Jimmy that he's not allowed to have any more sugar because it's really bad for him. Today is the day. And you sat at the dining table plotting how you were going to convince him. But you didn't realize that Jimmy was actually listening to the whole thing through the doorway. Now, when he knows exactly what your plan is, he's ready. He's got an answer for everything you're going to say. There's no way you're going to convince him. So a lot of us waste a lot of time and energy trying to convince our minds. It's like if anybody's ever taken acting class, either a professional one or just drama in school. And you've ever had to play, one of the exercises they do is they'll actually have you play both roles. You know, they do it with kids usually, and you kind of jump back and forth, so it's a dialogue. And sometimes they'll do a dialogue with two of you, but sometimes they'll actually make you play both roles. And it's a fun exercise. They do it also sometimes in like improvisation classes. How quickly can you think? You're jumping literally back and forth physically, but also personality-wise, playing both roles. And if anybody's ever done it, or you can just imagine it, it's something that gets you laughing, gets everybody laughing at you, gets you really frustrated if you take it too seriously, because you actually can't do it. As your mind is thinking about what person A is going to say, well, the part of your mind planning person B's response is listening. And so while you're trying to speak from person A, the mind of person B is already, and you can't actually keep your mind only on person A or B at one time. But we play that game in our own minds when we try to convince our minds of something, right? So the mind is saying it's really our Dharma to do this. And then the mind says, no, it isn't. That's just what you heard so-and-so say, but what do they know? No, look over here. Look at this guy. And then the mind says, no, really. In all the scriptures, all the gurus, and then the mind here says, And you bounce back and forth like a ping pong ball. And all you get is really tired, really frustrated. You use up all the glucose stores in your brain. Blood sugar drops. And you need a nap. You've gotten nowhere and you need a nap. So the only way to do it actually is to realize that you cannot use the mind to convince the mind. Which means that we have to stop letting the mind, and when I say the mind, I don't mean all of the mind. I mean the specific part of the mind that distresses us. Call it the ego. Call it the critic. But I like to think about it as the roommate you would have kicked out of your house years ago. Right? Imagine that you rented out a room in your house. And you had somebody come in. And all they did was torture you. All day and all night. While you ate, while you were trying to sleep, while you were bathing, while you were reading. All they did was keep telling you, you don't have enough money. You don't have a house in the right area of town. This is wrong, that's wrong. Did you see that over there? You know, you really said the stupidest thing at dinner tonight. Why couldn't you be smart like this guy? Don't you think your wife might be cheating on you? Well, you know, if you took better care of yourself, she wouldn't have to be cheating on you. I mean, you would have kicked that guy out so long ago. Keep your security deposit, no problem, just leave. Take it all back. I don't want your rent, just go. And yet, we allow that being to live in our minds. And we listen to him or her 24/7. And we actually pay attention. And we actually do things accordingly. So what's really most important is simply to see that part of the mind as other. I'm usually all about oneness and self. But in this case, it actually helps to see it as other. Not bad, not wrong. Don't try to kill it. It's not about murdering your roommate. But it's about seeing it as separate from that self. And when you see it as that, then you recognize that you don't actually have to listen to it 24/7. That you can consciously make a decision about where your mind is going to go, because there's a lot more to your mind than just this ego self, the programmed self, the habitual self. The mind is also that which tells you to meditate, which sends you into Satsang, that's got you thinking about Dharma. That's what we're going to call your conscious mind. The mindful mind. The deliberate mind. The mind with the power of vivek, to discriminate. When we meditate on our third eye, that's called the Agya Chakra, we meditate upon it to open up that eye, that power of discrimination that enables us to see truth from falsehood. So what you want is to give more energy, awareness, attention to the conscious mind, the deliberate, the mind that's anchored to your heart. Could call it the heartful mind. And to give less attention, less time to that unconscious, subconscious rambling that's trying to take you astray. So when that part of the mind pipes up to fight, to pull you back to the old ways, just say namaste. Let it go on its way. Imagine that it's the roommate and you're just sending it on its way. No, I'm so sorry, that room has actually been let out. So sorry, there's no more room. No vacancy. Right? But I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know if something comes up. So you're not killing it. You're not berating it, because ultimately it was formed within you. It was actually formed to, in its own perverted sense, help you. It thinks that what it is doing is protecting you and helping you. So you just say namaste. Let it go its own way. And then turn your mind, the deliberate, conscious, mindful mind, back to what you are focusing on. Whether you're meditating, you're praying, you're doing japa, you're doing seva, you're at work, you're cooking dinner, you're doing your gratitude practice, you're planning how you're going to live your Dharma more every minute and every moment. Whatever you're doing, just draw the awareness back. I always say that thoughts are vehicles that take us places. And before you get on that vehicle, you better be sure it's going where you want to end up. And so frequently those vehicles that come are not going where we want to go. So we don't get on them. Just namaste. Bye. And you come back. Because you know what your Dharma is. You know what you're supposed to be doing. Take that control. You've got the power. We just have to exercise it. And you can, as long as you stay conscious. That's the key, just staying conscious.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit rain.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
Welcome back to Inspiration and Transformation. I'm so glad to have you all back here with me.
I was diagnosed with cancer in December of 2021. I am taking treatment, and because it is rough on my body, I keep asking myself, why me? I get so frustrated, even though I have a very supportive family. How can I find peace? Well, first of all, I'm so sorry to hear about your diagnosis. The first piece I think that's really critical to realize is it's not your fault. You know, we're in a very interesting time these days with science showing us the power of the mind, right? We now have all of these incredible scientific machines, testing ability to test energy, ability to be able to see what's happening on the most basic levels of brain waves, of brain chemistry, of body chemistry, of immune system, of thought, of energetic patterns. And that's given us a lot of beautiful power. We now know that what we think, what we believe, has a huge impact on our world. That we are literally, through our thoughts, co-creating our world. And it's incredibly powerful. The shadow side of that is when things happen that we would like not to have happened, a cancer diagnosis, a house that burns down, or any one of the other myriad things that could happen that we didn't want to happen. It's become really easy to feel like I somehow made this happen. And if you find yourself living in a kind of new age world where the West has sort of co-opted some of Eastern thought, but without necessarily the full depth of it, you may find yourself surrounded by people who say things like, well, you've made this happen. Your thought pattern has created your cancer. And that's just not true. And so it's really critical to realize that, yes, we've got this incredible power from our minds to create our world. And our minds are not single-handedly creating our world. My favorite example of this is if you walk off of the rooftop, no matter what mantra you chant, no matter how spiritual you may be, no matter how deeply you may believe that you have wings, you are going to crash to the ground. Because you can't outthink gravity. As far as laws of energy go, gravity trumps thought. Now, that doesn't mean that thought isn't powerful. It's incredibly powerful. And there are things that happen in our world that are not because we have made them happen with our thoughts. Or that somehow we've done something bad and we are being punished. So the first piece is, this is not your fault. The second piece, though, is you've got a lot of power actually to change your situation. It may be written in your karmic journey that you're actually going to change the workings of your immune system and that you're going to become cancer-free. Or it may be written in your karmic journey that what you're going to change is your lack of peace with this diagnosis. And that the diagnosis will stay, but that you're going to be able to find a peace, a freedom in it, such that your world changes, even though your physical body may not. The best case scenario of a terminal illness is not always to cure it. That implies that our sole purpose of being alive on earth is to be able to string together as many days as we possibly can before we die. In that model, regardless of what you do, achieve, experience, serve, the success of your life is to be measured by the sum total of days you have been able to squeeze out life. But that's not what a successful life is. It's not about the days in the life, but about the life in the days, right? And so we certainly know people who are quite old, but you think, you know what, if I had to die today or change places with that person, I'd rather die today in my life than be 90, 95, 100, but in that person's life. And so the question always to ask ourselves is, how can I, in this situation, whether it's a cancer diagnosis, whether it's having simply failed an exam or gotten fired from your job, or getting left by a spouse or a beloved, or having an accident that, God forbid, handicaps you. The question in every circumstance of life, and by the way, not only the negative ones, the positive ones as well. We get a raise, we get a promotion, we are a huge success, we get married, we get the job. In every circumstance, the question to ask ourselves is, what am I supposed to learn here? What's the lesson? Because karma is not a system of rewards and punishments. It's not, you've been good, so you are rich and successful. You're poor, so you must have been bad and the universe is punishing you. It's not that. The karmic cycle works to give us exactly what we need in order to take our next step closer to our awareness. And for some, the next step may come in abundance and success and financial prosperity. For some, it may come in a whole other situation. But the question is always the same. What am I supposed to learn here? What's the teaching? Why has the universe given me this situation? And so to our beloved family member who sent in this question, the way to find peace is to realize that your job here is not about how many days of life you can string together, because that's really stressful. I mean, when you've got a diagnosis that is fatal, I mean, life is a fatal diagnosis. So anything beyond that, I mean, as we are alive, it's a fatal diagnosis. We're all dying. Every one of us. Every one of us has a terminal disease. It's called life. It's going to end in death. So whether on top of that you also have another disease that could end in death, could end in remission, and then you die of something else, either way, we've all got a terminal illness or a terminal opportunity called life. And so it's very stressful if we think that what we're supposed to do is manage to somehow avoid the very nature of life, which is death. I mean, that's really stressful. We're not supposed to age. We're not supposed to get gray hair. We're not supposed to get wrinkled. Right? I mean, aging has become a failure. Forget even terminal illnesses. Anti-aging is like the thing. Right? As though somehow, if you don't look 10 or 20 years younger than you are, you're a failure. Right? You've let yourself go somehow. Thou shalt not have gray hair at any cost. Thou shalt not have wrinkles at any cost, right? And if you have them, it means that you just don't have the means to take care of them. Or that you don't have access to, someone who could guide you on how to take care of these problems. And so it's stressful. So instead of thinking about how can I string together more days, think about how can every moment that I have be one that I utilize to get close to God. Because even with a cancer diagnosis, you may very well die being hit by a car long before the cancer kills you. I mean, not to be morbid, but every time we get in a car, it's a serious possibility. Or you may recover completely and die of something else. I don't know. But neither do you. And all we know is what you've got is this minute. You've got today. And use today not to prevent tomorrow, but to be as full as you possibly can. Can you experience the presence of God in you today, right here, right now? Because that's going to stay with you. The body eventually will drop. But that which you actually experience stays with you. When we go from lifetime to lifetime, along with the soul, the subtle body goes. Man, buddhi, ahankar travels with us. My knowledge, math problems, equations that I memorize, they don't go with me. That actually gets filed in the very neurons of my brain. That's not man, it's brain. The brain chemistry learns how to remember that. But the impressions, the sanskaras, wisdom, experience, that becomes an impression upon man, which actually stays with us. It's the nature of our mind. So use these days. Whether this body stays with you or not, the mind will stay with you. So use this time to get that mind to be the best friend that you would want to travel from this life into the next life. Whether it's 6 months from now or 60 years from now. Use this time to find that truth, to experience it.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation.
Spiritual plateaus. Absolutely they happen. Absolutely. In the beginning, I used to fight it. There was somewhere to go. We had to go. It was like if the train you were on suddenly stopped for no reason. Right? And you're looking at your watch and you're thinking, well, there's no way we're going to reach by 9 o'clock now. And every minute you look out the window and the train still isn't moving and you're thinking, oh my God, I got somewhere to be. And so you get very stressed. And in the beginning for me, I felt like that every time I would hit a plateau. Was I've got somewhere to be. Like I'm supposed to be. Right? Expanding, opening, deepening, awakening. I know this place. I've been here. Now I need to go higher, further, deeper, more. And spiritually, it's even more difficult than it is in a train, because even though in a train we obviously all want to reach our destination, spiritually, when you have tasted that bliss, tasted that oneness, tasted that ecstasy, to feel like you are not able to reach there, or like, okay, now you have fully gotten used to the drop of bliss you got, now you're ready for the ocean, and you just can't quite get there, it's very frustrating. And so yes, it absolutely has happened to me. In the beginning I used to fight it, and what I discovered is that, like so much in life, fighting it actually makes it worse. It actually pushes you farther back from where you were going. Because when you fight it, what you're saying is, there is a problem with this moment. Present moment, not good enough. Present breath, not good enough. Here and now, not good enough. And that pulls you out of the perfection of the present moment. And so what I've realized over the years is to actually just accept and embrace it the same way that if you're an agriculturalist and you've got a field, well, anybody who, I guess an agriculturalist isn't really the right word, a farmer might be a more appropriate term. If you were a farmer, good farmers know that you can't use the same field over and over and over again without giving it a break. The smartest, most intelligent methods of farming always will leave a field fallow for some time. It's in that period that it actually, the nourishment recharges itself. It's like the ground recharges itself. And the same thing actually happens with us. We go through seasons in our life, like nature goes through seasons. You wouldn't curse your tree for not having green leaves in the middle of a snowy winter. Stupid tree, what's wrong with you, right? You understand it's winter, okay. This is the time we have empty branches. Come springtime, the green leaves will start to come back. There are seasons. Apple trees give apples some time of the year, not 24/7. And yet, I think one of the reasons that so many of us suffer so much on a spiritual path as well is that we really expect ourselves to be productive on every level. 24/7. That every day of every week of every month of the year, we should be able to produce. And whether it's in our workplace, whether it's creatively, ask any artist. Are they able to produce art every day of the year? Are there days that they show up in their painting studio or at their writing table and nothing comes? Of course there are. Probably more days than not. There are seasons in life, in creativity. There are rhythms. Our body goes through something called a circadian rhythm every 24 hours. Everything changes. The systems of our body function differently at 3 o'clock in the morning than they do at noon, which is why 3 o'clock in the morning is not a good time to eat a meal. Your digestive system just doesn't work at that hour. And yet we expect ourselves to be able to be productive at the snap of a finger. And this is true both in our external production as well as in our internal spiritual life. It's like, okay, yeah, God, all right, I'm ready. I'm here. I'm waiting. What's going on? I'm waiting. What's happening? Come on. And what are we doing? We're missing the moment. We're sending this message into the universe, present moment, not right, which is creating our world. So when you hit that spiritual plateau, just go, okay, here we are. Here we are. Here you are. Because in the embrace of this moment, that is actually the path to a deeper spiritual experience. But you can't tell yourself like that. If you try to use it like that, it won't work. The acceptance of the present moment has to be real and full, not as a means to an end. Yeah, I'm just accepting it because, yeah, this better take me deeper. No. But I can share with you from experience when you really can accept, okay, here we are. And by the way, this isn't even true only about spiritual plateaus. This is about, wow, I'm really angry. Okay, here we are. Look at that. So interesting. So interesting how angry I am. Okay. Not you're bad, you're wrong, stuff it. But just, all right. Here we are. And in that acceptance of the moment, that which you were wishing wasn't there actually automatically tends to dissipate. but only when you can really just accept it fully. The same way that you accept barren branches in the wintertime. Right? Maybe you went outside hoping to get an apple and instead you found a snow-covered backyard. Well, I mean, you could scream at the tree for not giving you an apple. You could throw a temper tantrum. But that's not really going to be very useful. Instead, can you just stand in the snow and say, all right, here we are. I guess it's a snowy day. And that's what actually brings you into that deeper spiritual acceptance. And then deeper spiritual experience. Because it's all about expansion. And if I can expand myself to include those plateaus, if I can expand to include an inexplicable burst of anger, an inexplicable eyes filled with tears, if I can expand my awareness of self to just include all of that, knowing it's all okay. The way you know it's okay is it is. It is, so therefore it is okay. In that expansion. You find that you enter whole new levels.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization. Their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation.
On a level of the physical body, I have heard it said that we are born with a certain number of breaths. And that when those breaths finish, so does our life. And I've heard that said actually in the experience of yoga, where they were speaking about why practices like pranayama are so important, because they slow the breath and therefore extend your life. If you've got 100 breaths left, well, you could breathe them in a minute, or you could breathe them in 20 minutes, depending on how you work with your breath. So I've heard it said in the arena of yoga that we're born with a certain number of breaths. When they are over, it is done. But in the realms of deeper spiritual experience than the working of asana and pranayama, what I've heard it said is that our destiny is created by these 3 different types of karma, right? Kriyaman, that which is immediate. Sanchit, which is all of it, everything from past lives, this life, our whole sum total ever since our soul has been incarnating. And Pradab, which is that part of the Sanchit karma which will be blossoming in this life. But remember that we also have free will. And our free will is intersecting with our Pradab karma. So our karma is unfolding in our life. Nothing we can do about it. It's come from past lives or earlier in this life. But our free will is intersecting with it. That which I do today, my karma today. Karma means action. So my karma today is creating brand new karmic fruit for my life, which means my actions today are changing my destiny. See, if our destiny were pre-written, as in thousands of years ago, sitting somewhere on some cloud out in the sky, there would be absolutely no point to do sadhana. There would be no point to meditate. There would be no point to study. There would be no point to serve. There would be no point to do anything. Because we would be simply victims of the unfolding of that which had happened in the past. But we are not. We know that when we change how we are living, when we start a practice of sadhana, we change our values, we change how we're choosing or deciding. Well, that's having brand new impacts on our life. And those brand new impacts are changing our destiny. So I no longer believe that it's about breaths in the body. I think that in general, obviously, working with the breath is a very, very powerful technique. Spiritually, physically, emotionally. I mean, pranayama is incredibly powerful. But I no longer believe that the number of breaths that I'm going to have was written before this body even came into birth. Because otherwise, everything that I do, the threads that are weaving from our actions today, would be meaningless. And nothing is meaningless. Which is why we've been given our scriptures telling us, I mean, if what I do today had no impact, why would Bhagavan Krishna give us the Bhagavad Gita? Why would Vyasji have spent all of that time putting Ganeshji to non-stop work to write down the scriptures if nothing mattered? So clearly it matters. Clearly when we choose a path of Shreyas or Preyas, as the Katha Upanishad guides us in, clearly there is a reason we are told, choose the path of Shreyas, not the path of Preyas. If it were all pre-written, there'd be no point. Then every scripture would just say, eat ice cream. Enjoy it. Eat, drink, and be merry. But they don't. And so we know that the choices we make are threads weaving together with the threads that have already been woven to create the tapestry of our life.
This brings to a close this hour of inspiration and transformation. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to be together with you all each week, and I look forward to being together again next Thursday, same time, on Om Times Radio.